Vitomir, if I can take over now.
Thank you, Reto. Hello, everyone, and Reto, thank you very much for inviting me to be on this panel and talk about my experiences and experiences of all the people in my company on the development in the last, I could say, 10 years of constant improvement and development in the fields of augmented reality, VR, and now blockchain, of course, as one of the latest technological trends that are setting the new stage for the whole world. I also might suggest to the audience that because there is not too many people here, we can even have a more interactive conversation, and maybe I can tell you a bit about what I've been doing, and then people can ask questions and more actively, and then I can try to respond and to share the vision and explain like everything that could be explained if there is an explanation in this field. My journey started early on as I was a developer, as a very small kid. I even started with 10 years old coding, and I might look young, but I'm actually 44 years old. So it's more than basically it's more than 35 years of developing experience. And the interesting thing that Reto mentioned is that I'm an archaeologist by university degree, which is the real reason why I decided to go to archaeology is because there were no computer science universities at that time that were covering the topics that I wanted to engage into. Because in the moment that I was entering university, which was 18 years old, I was already coding for, I don't know, maybe 7-8 years actively, since I was 10 years old, literally. So I at that time, I was already being paid as a programmer, which is crazy, like, you know, being 17 years old and getting the paid for programming. So I decided to go to archaeology as a kind of a hobby university to get that what we call broader knowledge around things. And I was always interested in ancient civilizations. And what is here also interesting is that actually I was very interested in Atlantis. And Atlantis was something that was a technologically advanced civilization that existed before our civilization, right? And so the journey itself is always connected with technology. And then as I progressed with archaeology, as I became more and more engaged into the whole space, and I fell in love with the cultural heritage, with museums, with artifacts, with archaeological excavations, with all of these things, and then always tried to combine the two together. And I think this is an interesting, you know, like life journey that took me and all the people that kind of follow me in this, where we are today. And so I created my own company in 2000 and actually 11. So we will celebrate 10 years of Digital Mind now in a couple of days. We started developing interactive and interesting projects for large clients. And in these projects, we experimented with technology. And so we were using Microsoft Kinect to detect the body movement. We used touch screens. We developed our own touch screens and interactive bars. And then as soon as VR technology came to the market, we started experimenting with VR. We did the first VR museum. That was the Museum of Nikola Tesla in 2000, and I think it was 15 or 16. And at that moment, it was very clear that VR technology will change the world. And it will not happen. I mean, we knew it will not happen instantaneously, but, you know, that was the first time that actually I decided to be, you know, where technology is early. And why I'm saying this is, it's interesting. We missed the big waves in the development. And this is one of the advices for the audience. We missed the big waves of development in the early days of mobile phones. We started building games we built games at the end of Amiga season, Amiga computer. That was many years ago. And then we switched to PC, and then we missed the train there because consoles were the big thing at that time. Then we started, like mobiles came along, and then we said no, like mobiles are too early. And then everybody was doing mobile phones, games and apps. And then we said, hey, let's do mobile games, and then it was too late. And all of these technological cycles that are happening, the big lesson that I learned in my life is that you need to be early if you want to succeed. You need to believe in the technology. You need to, experiment with the technology when it is really early, like in the first moment when something comes to the market, or when people start building new paradigms of technology. You need to be there, not when everybody is there, then it's too late. So this is what happened in VR. So we started very early in VR. And the interesting thing is that in 2017, the core idea of VR art came to be like, hey, if the VR is going to change the world, and if people are going to move into the VR, what will be the thing that is so exciting and interesting, that is native to VR, that will enable VR to become this new revolutionary technology? And then art and museums, of course, came into my mind. And I was like, you know what? Like, if you want to visit the gallery, if you want to see the painting, it's really hard to do that in real life. If we are talking about buying things that are abroad, that are away from your geographical location. And this was a key essential element of the whole concept, is that art is difficult to travel. So if you want to pack the painting and put it on a plane and send it to another country, that's a hurdle, and it's a really a messy thing to do, just to take it to an exhibition. And not to mention like visiting shows, going to different museums. So it was really natural that we started VR art as the future of art exhibitions and museum exhibitions, where people will be able to travel the world and visit galleries, experience art, experience culture without leaving their homes. And here is also an interesting conversation that we had with one of our clients early on. So he said, first of all, thank you for what you are doing. He lives in Australia. And he, not only that he lives in Australia, but he also lives some 3 to 4 hours from the closest city in Australia, which is not a big city. And he said, like, I cannot give these experiences to my kids. I mean, to take them to the museum or to take them to a gallery, because there is simply, I need to sit down in a car and travel for 4 hours to get to the closest small city, not to mention the big cities and big museums. So if you think about how many families in the world are living outside of big metropolitan cities, outside of these hub spots of art and culture, and they're just not able to see and experience art and culture, then you can only imagine how these technologies can change their perception of reality and teach them, educate them, engage them into these stories. And this is what inspired me and all of us to continue. And why I'm saying continue is because the first moments when we built VR art, it was a really hard thing to sustain the energy and to sustain this business, because there is no business at the beginning. People don't have VR headsets. There are no business models around it. People will not pay you for something that is not widely accepted. So it was really hard couple of years while we were developing VR art. But also what I want to mention that even at the beginning of VR art, blockchain was starting to explode, like Ethereum was starting to explode. And we decided not to build on Ethereum, even though and the first thought of bringing blockchain into VR made a lot of sense, because when you go into VR, you cannot use your credit card. You have to type the codes, you have to remember these things. It's not a natural environment. And of course, registration of art and trading of registered, verified art inside virtual realities is something that is also necessary. So blockchain with this programmable way of storing the data, immutably, is something that was immediately kind of bound to VRL art. So we started experimenting and everything, and then these problems that we didn't have the audience at the beginning were exactly what we actually needed. And this is also another advice for the audience here, is that when people are telling you that technology is not mature enough, like this is not good enough yet, this is the right moment to build. This is the right moment to create, because technology, as we all know, is progressing every day. And people were complaining like, hey, VR, the resolution is not good, that the headsets are bulky, you have a cable, the cable is connected to a computer, you need a computer, you need a VR headset, it's expensive, people cannot buy that because it's too expensive. And we were like, right, exactly, this is what we need, this is what we are doing right now. And the thing is, we knew, and this prophecy, it's not even a prophecy, it's just a matter of patience, came a couple of years only after the first headsets appeared. We now have Oculus Quest, we now have Focus 3 Vive, and these resolutions are now the resolutions are 3 or 4 times bigger than the first Vive. The headsets don't have cables anymore, they are smaller, they are lighter, and they're cheaper. When you say, the Quest costs $350 or something like that, together with this head strap. So that's more affordable than a phone. The phone costs 3 times more money. I mean, the high-end phone than the VR headset. So now they are producing these headsets, in the amount that they cannot produce enough, because they're selling it immediately. So the thing here is that, and the technology will get better and better. So all these questions and requests and doubts and complaints that we had 2 or 3 years ago, that this is not for art, because you can see pixels. We cannot feel the art piece because you feel the resolution, there are ghosts around it or whatever. Then now it's simply not true anymore. And we already built the platform, and we will now start promoting it and launching. It's still early. There is still some time left, maybe 2 years, 1 to 2 years, to bring in really quality, from the beginning to the end, user experience, user interfaces, everything needs to be perfect. But the core message here is that if you want to build something that will last, start building it early in the technological cycle. And I think this is very important. And then if you miss the cycle, then while waiting for another cycle, still build, but do wait for another cycle, because the next cycle is augmented reality, actually mixed reality glasses or extended reality. I mean, there are a couple of different terms about it, but that's the whole point. And they're now available augmented reality glasses of the early cycle technologies like Unreal or even Microsoft HoloLens. There are ways to experiment with these technologies.
Let me ask here one question. You say early, it should be early in the cycle, etc. How do you notice that it's early? Also, you need some indicators that it's early, etc. Maybe so that or it's already done, basically.
Well, you just follow the trends and the big talks about what will happen, and then you experiment. And then one of these technologies that you experiment with will stick. And then, of course, you need to follow what's going on and how the adoption is taking place. and then like you continue this path. I mean, the cryptocurrencies are a perfect example, and I think because this topic has a lot to do with blockchain and with Solana blockchain and other things. Solana is also early, and this is interesting.
Yeah.
That's why we chose to build on Solana, and that's why we entered the hackathon. This was the second hackathon organized by Solana, and it was. I mean, I'm really sad that we missed the first hackathon, but actually the second one was even the better spot because of the focus on the NFTs. And the NFTs are also early. I mean, they're maybe a couple of years old, and when you think about this transformational technology, what it will do to the world, now it's the time to build for it, on it, and for it. Because if you wait for a couple of more years, they will be established players on the market, and there will be very little space for big innovation and big companies. That what we've seen with the internet, that's what we've seen with the Web 2, now Web 3. And especially these cycles are interesting in the blockchain space. So what has happened since 2017 is that we had this big ICO boom that was happening in the early days of blockchain technology, because people started to understand that they can use the cryptocurrencies to raise funds for the companies. And then there's a bunch of scammers. So it started nicely and with good intentions, but very fast, like maybe, I don't know, 6 months to a year, it became, a living hell of scammy projects and things. And what I can say is that we can see almost the same patterns developing now in this cycle. Because what was ICO in the previous cycle, now I think that the NFTs are becoming, NFTs are now becoming these big collections and things. We are there on the front lines of NFT sector on Solana, and we can see that this is what is unraveling in front of our eyes. I'm not saying that all of these projects are scammy projects. I don't think so. I just think that a lot of these teams will not be able to deliver. They will not be able to deliver their promises. They will just take the money, try to invest some money, then they will probably, a lot of them will fail. Because in order to deliver the promise of next big game that will use these NFTs as characters or whatever, there's a lot of development time, expenses and things. It's not that as easy as it might seem at the beginning. So anyway, how I see it is that the NFTs are now a big experiment, and a lot of projects are starting to experiment with the NFTs. But the real power of the NFTs is registering, connecting real life and virtual worlds or virtual digital arena or digital life. So if we have a unique property of an item that is stored on the blockchain and can be traded or can be exchanged or can be sent or can be multiplied or whatever, then we are now entering a whole new world. And this new world will not happen this year or next year or in 2 years. Probably it will start to happen in about 3 to 4 years, probably in the next cycle. Because then the maturity of NFT technology and all the experiments that gave birth to the real use cases, the real usability of NFTs will kind of how should I say this? Like a needle in a haystack. Like you will find these needles that are actually the sparks of the new civilization. And that's what happened with cryptocurrencies and with blockchains, is that in the previous cycle in 2018, there were thousands of cryptocurrencies created and projects, like, I don't know, 15,000, but some of them survived. Some of them are now giving birth to new methods of utilizing the blockchain. Solana started a couple of years ago, but only now it is actually being used. Think about it today is like, what are we going to build today? What either technologies, ideas, or solutions we will create today that will stick in the next 3 to 4 years. And not only that, but also, don't be pressed by and don't feel the burden of things that are not working today, or that things are not really there yet, like the resolution on the VR headsets.
Yeah, but
if you need better speed, it will be there. If you need bigger hard drives, bigger storage, it will be there. But if you really need it, start building for it today, because others are not. Other people are not building for that today. And now I will come down to the story about how we won the hackathon, but that's a really deep, problematic story, because we came with something that a lot of people actually do not easily understand, and that was maybe even the big, how do you say, bite. The bite was really big, and we were very happy that judges and Solana people actually recognize this, but it is still a big bite for the whole NFT community, and this vision and this idea of NFTs is not like, hey, let's trade NFTs, let's make NFTs tradable. For me, NFT should not be by default a tradable item. It is a digital representation of an item. It is not per se a tradable thing. It can be a museum item that will never be tradable. It's a registration of a figurine from prehistory on the blockchain. So that when a museum sends this figurine to an exhibition, it can track where it sent it, how, who got it. There's a whole lot of infrastructural things that can be solved with the NFTs, and not only trading, like seller fees and things like that. So the concept that we were proposing is what we call an NFT Pro. And we successfully actually launched this NFT Pro. And the difference that we kind of set out to do is that you put a legal contract inside of the NFT. You embed a legal contract inside of the NFT, so that once an old owner and a new owner of the token, not the real item, actually knows what they can do with the real item. Whether it's a digital form or a real life form, whatever. We need to put a relationship, defined relationship between, persons that are interacting in this exchange. And then, of course, we need a lot of other metadata that can accompany this piece, not only seller fee and, image. There must be an option for people to understand that NFTs can have a lot of properties that many different verticals and industries will use in their own way. Yeah. If you want to put the NFT of a real estate, if you want to sell this room or rent this room as an NFT, then it's a completely different use case than having a use case of NFTs as a digital collectible or a ticket for an exhibition or an event.
Right.
So we need to have the base layer for NFTs, ontologies, metadata, concepts that will handle all of these cases in the kind of standardized way. And this is what we were proposing, and that's what we started to build is, a unique interface towards the blockchain in order to provide this layer of information and storage and interaction that will better kind of not copy the real world, but use what knowledge we have from the real world interactions and embed that knowledge inside of the blockchain space.
Would it at this stage help? I like the idea of this description, NFT, etc. Would it maybe help to have categories of NFT, so that you have kind of standards of that's a real estate NFT, that's this kind of NFT, then you would maybe define all the components of an NFT, and then you say, listen, this makes sense that you have kind of also a quality layer. So it means that you say, okay, this is an NFT in the real estate that covers all the necessary information, so that you have all the rights in there that is necessary, all that stuff.
Yes.
Could that be an approach?
But of course, this is what we are doing. Like, we are putting, the tags explaining what the NFT is. We are putting the version of the NFT there inside, the NFT itself. We are putting the legal contract inside of the NFT. These are the moves that, I'm pretty surprised that no one else has done it before us. I'm really surprised because these are the necessary ingredients in order to move the sector to the new level, future, whatever you call it. So by utilizing this, then we are opening up the world to the whole range of other NFT use cases. And builders of today can lean on this and build solutions for the real estate, build solutions for the sport industry, build solutions for the event industry, like all of these solutions. But the standards that exist today, they don't even cover the digital RT properly. And everybody is just copying this because there is a hype, there is greed and financial hype surrounding trading. But if you just put aside greed and trading for a few moments.
Come on.
Think about where we are actually going. Then I can guarantee you that there will be a lot of more usability created around these new waves of interaction and exchange of value.
We had a talk on Monday. It's
a digital representation of value.
Yeah.
A value can be anything that we put, and this is important. Like, there is a way to put a stamp, because we were using, these old type of, to provide verification that this document is, signed by me. And now we have this in a digital format. And then if you think about what this seal means in real life, what at least the meaning was before we could only sign with our signature, but still it's the signature. If you think about the signature as representation of someone's will that puts a value onto something, and that this value can travel, then you can think about where all of this will get into the couple of years in the future. Maybe 10, maybe 20, but it will happen. So it's a matter of who does first all these different solutions for different verticals, and then while doing this, you also need to experiment, because new things might arise. Who thought in the sanity of the mind that the most valuable thing now will be some monkey images on the blockchain? And their value is in hundreds of millions. Come on, is this for real?
Yeah, that's one of the big issues we had yesterday when we had this technology discussion, this curation thing. Curation is something that's a centralized approach, kind of. It's quite difficult to solve it in a decentralized setup, because curation also is an individual, maybe has, or a community leader who has a clear say in a way what kind of what is good, what is not good, what is high quality, what is low quality, what appeals, what doesn't appeals. So
there is also trust. There is also a trust factor. So if someone is trustworthy or developed his own influence, then to be trustworthy, then people will follow the person or the attitude or the result of his work. And in the future, it will all circle around communities and networks and trust factor and influence. Because I'm not saying, by purpose, I'm not saying influencers. I'm saying influence. So the influence is a value now. And we could put a monetary value on the influence. And we can judge the influence also by monetary value. So these are the experiments that we will be taking and others should be taking to better understand how the human life actually interacts with one another. And we should also be careful here. Here's a disclaimer. I have to put up the disclaimer is that technology is bad. Okay, so even though since I was a very little boy, I was obsessed with technology and I still is, I think that technology is naturally bad thing. And the internet is tremendously bad. That's, people are saying like, openness of the internet, it gave us freedoms. It's not biological for a human being to be able to communicate in this fast way. We don't have the capacity of to sustain that level of communication and speed of information transfer and even value transfer. So I don't think that the speed of progress that is happening is healthy. And we have seen that a couple of days ago, actually, when with this testimony on the Facebook trial that has happened. Like, I don't know if you've seen it, Reto, but there was a whistleblower from Facebook saying that they had research that was showing that the way that their algorithms are, putting the content out for people is actually influencing the behavior of these people in a bad way, and they were still doing it.
Right. There's even an older video about a former Facebook manager that was about 5-6 years ago, who explained a little bit the psychological impact on especially young women with that. But it's a combination between a psychological design of it, so that you get addicted on the one hand, and on the other hand, of course, some dynamics that really can create a social stress that really, especially these people. But on the other hand, I love your example of Australia. As a matter of fact, we have a participant from Vienna. Your tool, VR in Vienna, maybe doesn't really is not matching the need as much, but the guy from Australia, I completely understand. This guy really has a problem in engaging with these beautiful things that are in museums or buildings, etc. And I believe this is a very, very strong case. I mean, you have a pain, and that's a pain. And maybe you can elaborate more on that a little bit, how it supports your. I mean, you went out. I heard that you were very successful, also collecting money from investors. So an investor will need to have a very strong case.
Well, some investors are. There for a long game, but some investors are pretty short-sighted.
Yeah.
And it's not, like they're interested in here and now. And they don't want to wait for 5 years or 10 years for you to develop your vision. They want to know what you are doing now. And this is what Solsi, the marketplace for NFTs that we developed and launched literally like 2 weeks now ago, actually gave them confidence that what we are building is actually happening. And this is also another very interesting point that all the listeners here can take, is that winning the hackathon means delivering results. It's not about the idea, it's about being able to deliver on this idea. And that's why we actually won, because we delivered. We delivered a lot of different things. We built the marketplace, we built the NFT Pro Creator, we built NFT Pro Explorer. We then implemented, Solana blockchain inside VR. So when you look at what things we did in 3 weeks, I mean, it was astounding for the the judges and everybody that we were able to deliver all of that in such a short time frame. I mean, for us, it was almost like a regular day in the office, because we are builders and we are building these things in a very short time frames. But still, when you look at these two cycles, one in 2017 and one that is happening today, what I can notice is that now delivery matters more than
Right.
ideas. So
That's
I think
absolutely.
that in order to be successful in this cycle, especially with investors and in crypto investors, is that you need to have some proof and some like a real value that you are able to create in such a short periods of time. And this will provide them security and insurance that you are able to at least continue on the right track, even if you fail, even if this doesn't show as something that works, you will still be able to build something new and something else pretty quickly, to iterate quickly. But I want to just close down the thing that I said about technology is bad, and then talking positively about the technology. Yeah, the point here is that's my way of doing things. I don't say that others should follow what I'm saying, but I kind of feel that if we use the technology for good things, if we try to build things that are inspiring, that make you feel better, that are really, but in a proper way, because liking feels bad, really good because it's dopamine. But if you create other things, educational things, if you create proper, even if you start doing greedy things like NFTs are basically, but if you try by building this to move the sector in the proper direction, which we will do, like bringing real art into the blockchain, promoting artists, promoting creative industries, promoting photography, sculpture, creativity, that makes then fulfillment full, or let's say, how should I say this in English? But I mean, it makes your mission and the things that you are doing worthwhile, because you are not utilizing the technology for personal benefit. You're trying to make an environment that will educate people in Australia, or make them, bring them experiences that they cannot ever do for their children. Just, think about these nice things that could be done in order to, make the civilization a better place. And I'm saying, okay, you want technological advancement, you want crazy things. Okay, let's build them. Yeah. Let's build more of them, and let's see where it will lead. But while build it for a better world. I mean, imaginary better world, because the world is not good and people are not good, basically. But just let's make things, for a better world, and maybe we will at the end get there.
Vitomir, I tried for the audience a little bit to summarize what you said about what your values are with regard to delivering or to ship an idea. Also, the most important thing I heard from you is really the purpose. The purpose has to be very strong in a positive way, of course. Then the second one is the more real, the better. Means that if you have an MVP or whatever, or really code, really done, but just covering maybe just the niche or a sector, that is much better than a nice PowerPoint presentation or other presentation, etc. That's what I understood from you.
Yes.
Please, maybe you can space it. Then the third one is if you can really illustrate the pain or the problem that you solve, connected to the purpose, of course, that is a very strong argument also to say, yes, that's good or bad. And of course, I mean, the last thing I understand from you is the engagement level. If someone is not really with heart and hair and the whole body really behind it, then then you maybe also then you have not really the best cards. Maybe I missed something, or is there from your side also maybe a strong tip what they shouldn't do, for instance, or should do,
I
or
could
just an
maybe,
advice?
yeah, I could say that the interesting kind of concept, or how to say it, it's not an idea. It's more like
a creativity level.
No. The sentence, the kind of a statement, a quote that kind of I kind of created in the last I don't know 2 months, is that you should go to dance where the party is.
Mm-hmm.
What we didn't do properly with VRL art is, of course, there is a vision and there is a big, long journey ahead of us. But you need to go to the party, and you cannot go somewhere else and people are partying over there, and you're on some other place, and you're talking like, hey, but this is a better music here, but no one is there, you're dancing by yourself. So you need to get to the party. And you need to play on the party, because you will feel the music, you will feel the energy of the people. And when I'm saying this, if you put that in the perspective of the NFTs and everything, now the party is in the NFT space and with all these collections and things, and you need to be on the party, because first of all, the money is there, and second of all, the energy is there.
Yeah,
the energy is not currently in the party of the VR. Okay, it's not there. It's getting there, maybe in the near to long-term future, but currently the game in the party is the NFT space, and the music is getting more louder and louder. More people are coming to the party. So the whole point is that if you don't want to waste time and learn from the time that you're investing into something, go play where the new party is starting to happen. If you miss the party, then you will miss the energy and you will not learn what created the party, what was the point of the party. So I think that the biggest lesson that I learned in the last literally like month and a half, I changed my life completely, and all my kind of ways of doing the business and doing things, is I said, like, we are not the party. If you think about it, like, where's the party? And then you see, there's the party. Let's go to the party. And it's as simple as that. Like in real life, like okay, where's the club where the best party is right now? You go to that club. You don't go to that empty club. And then when these people move to some other club, you ask them, like, where are you going? Like, hey, we're going to that other club. There's the next party. Let's go to that club. And like, you need to follow these trends, and you need to be a part of it. At least, like, buy some cryptocurrencies, trade them, go there, follow what's going on, and follow the smell of a good party.
I see.
And then you will see, you will see where it leads you.
I see a word circles in my head. It's vibrations. Maybe vibrations is explaining it in a way. It's connected to energy, but it's also connected to other people who have positive vibrations, etc. And probably what I learned in my past is also to get together with other successful people who really send out positive vibrations, and then suddenly you're better inspired with maybe new ideas, and then you just have to dive in. I think, there's always a moment that you have to dive in. So then when you dive in, then you forget left and right, and then you just go down, and then maybe you find something that is really interesting. Or maybe you just see a ground gray, and then you go back.
But also, let me add one more thing on the party story, is that you also need to be on the party early. Like that's also very important.
Okay.
You go to parties regularly, okay? So you know the atmosphere, you know the people, and you know how the new big party will happen and where. and then you go to that new party early, and that's the point. Because you cannot go to the new party early because you don't know what the party is, what the music is, and what the crowd actually wants. And when you get the experience of partying in these different technological niches, then you will be able to get that sense of hey, the next party will be there. Hey, look, all the big guys will be there. Probably they will be the best. The next party. It's not now. It's not happening now. But in they will be there in about a month or 2 months. So let's see. That will probably be the big party. And that's what actually happened with the second hackathon, because the most important factor that was for us important is all the people that were selected as judges for that hackathon. When we started looking at those names, we saw that their interests were aligned with the next blockchain that might dominate. And then we said, it seems that the party will be there, and we were not mistaken. And it's still early Solana is still in the early stages compared to some other big blockchains, but it's the party is heating up. So if people want to get into the Solana space and start developing there, my sincere advice is to start tomorrow or today and get into in the right moment.
Yeah, probably it's maybe we have. There are no question right now so far.
Yeah, but
I think you really covered much more than I expected. Basically, if you talk about what are the success factors, then everybody thinks, okay, he will come up with the 5 most important things, and then you see a slide, and then it's important to have a concise statement in the first stage, and the second stage it has to be scalable, what you say, etc. Inspirational, that's all cool, but I really didn't notice this party thing. That's kind of the first time I hear that, but I believe that's it's just I can absolutely anticipate what you mean, and really I had it also when in the Crypto Valley Association when I started it back in 2016, and I tell you, you are so inspired by these people because everybody has a vision and a purpose and the perspective in that space, and it kind of gives like an meta layer of ideas, and then suddenly you are inspired by this. You don't know why, and maybe you meet some people. Suddenly you meet people, and you think, hey, why do I meet this guy? He has exactly a good answer to my question, etc. That's very often happened. And I believe you had the same experience in this party thing, that you suddenly stumble into people that have a great idea for my question. So as a matter of fact, it really would make sense to go to this Discord channel we have opened up to really mingle with others, to think about, and then you also to go to the website with the mentors and judges, and to study a little bit what they say. It's quite cool content you see on any LinkedIn profile, and you see the purpose and the background and where it's coming from, etc. That's fantastic. So I also found out about your archaeological background, and it's quite inspiring, because I always have the image that somebody is digging the whole day, and there is a tent and a hard thing, but I believe it's nice that the need to understand how people lived 3,000 or 4,000 years ago is only possible with a virtual reality setup. Well, that's a point, and
Yeah. So if the audience has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
So, or somebody can raise the hand, I give them access, etc. But I believe it's quite a lot said already, and I would suggest that you go to HackARThon.com, go in, explore, look at the people. The people is very, very important, and then come up with a purposeful idea. Nicely, it would be really a code or whatever, and solving a problem on the maybe on the Solana platform or Solsi. Maybe say something about Solsi. That I really you have the right to make a little bit added marketing for Solsi. Please,
Well,
come
Solsi
on.
is a new open marketplace on Solana blockchain, open NFT marketplace on Solana blockchain. And why is this open very important? Is that you can go mint your NFT there, and you can start selling your NFT immediately, and you can mint it inside of your collection. You can sell it immediately. And the difference between other marketplaces and Solsi is that we allow everyone to mint and everyone to sell. The problem there is that people are minting fakes and they're selling fakes.
Yeah.
And this is a constant fight for the right thing and ability to still allow openness and fight fakes while keeping the functionalities of the platform without compromising the core concept of openness and freedom.